It was a typical Tuesday evening when my husband James dropped a casual bombshell. His firm had booked him for a week-long conference out of town. I'd be alone in our house for the first time in ages. Though I knew it was a golden opportunity for his career, a flicker of unease stirred within me at the thought of such prolonged solitude. James flashed a reassuring grin, packed his suitcase, and after a lingering kiss goodbye, he was gone. The house turned eerily silent, almost foreign. I busied myself with books, binge-watching shows, and evening strolls through the neighborhood. Day one felt freeing. I pampered myself with a steamy bath and a rom-com spree. But by day two, the quiet grew thick, oppressive. I'd check the clock, craving James's nightly call. His voice soothed me, yet when it ended, the stillness crept back, heavier than before. By the fourth night, something shifted. I was curled up with tea and a novel when the doorbell chimed, sparking a mix of surprise and intrigue. I wasn't expecting anyone. Opening the door, I found Liam, James's charming coworker and our longtime friend, holding a bottle of red wine and a disarming smile. "Hey, Sarah," he said, his voice low and warm. "James mentioned he'd be away and I was nearby. Thought I'd check in. That okay?" I laughed, stepping aside. "More than okay. Come in." Liam had always been a fixture at our gatherings, his easy charisma lighting up rooms. We'd talked plenty, but never like this. Just us. We settled in the living room, wine glasses in hand, the air buzzing with something unspoken. Conversation flowed effortlessly. Work, dreams, shared memories. His laugh was infectious, and as the night deepened, I felt a heat I hadn't expected. Our knees brushed as we leaned closer, the wine loosening my guard. "You're different tonight," he murmured, his gaze locking with mine, bold and searching. My breath hitched. "Maybe it's the quiet," I teased, but my voice trembled with desire. The room seemed to shrink, the space between us electric. His fingers grazed my arm, sending shivers down my spine, and I didn't pull away. "It's been a while since I felt noticed," I confessed, the words spilling out. Liam's eyes darkened, his hand resting on my thigh, firm yet tentative. "You're impossible not to notice," he whispered, his lips hovering near mine. The tension snapped. I leaned in, our kiss igniting a slow, hungry fire. His touch was deliberate, tracing my curves, awakening every nerve. We paused, breathless, tangled on the couch, the wine forgotten. It was raw, reckless, a secret carved in the silence of the house. He left before dawn, promising discretion. "Take care, Sarah," he said, his voice husky. "Call if you need me." Alone again, I felt alive, transformed. The next morning, I woke buzzing, replaying the night, his scent, his hands. I dove into my days with new vigor, sketching sultry scenes in my journal, indulging in long baths where my thoughts wandered to forbidden edges. I visited a dimly lit bar one evening, sipping whiskey, imagining his shadow beside me. The bartender's flirty banter only fueled my restless energy. By the time James returned, I greeted him with a sultry smile, my body still humming from the week's awakening. We collapsed into each other, hours vanishing as I shared tamer tales, new hobbies, quiet moments, keeping my secret close. That week had unraveled me, teaching me to crave both connection and the thrill of my own desires. Solitude wasn't just stillness. It was a canvas for passion, reflection, and a hunger I'd never explored. Have you ever felt a spark that changed you or found yourself in solitude's embrace? Share below. I'd love to hear. James's return brought a comforting rhythm back to the house, but beneath my warm welcome simmered a restless heat I couldn't shake. His familiar touch grounded me, yet my mind drifted to that stolen night with Liam, the memory of his hands igniting a craving I hadn't known I carried. The days blurred into routine. Shared meals, quiet evenings, but I felt like a stranger in my own skin, teetering on the edge of something wild. James noticed my distraction one night, his brow furrowing as we sat with wine by the fireplace. "You've been different," he said, his voice soft but probing. I smiled, brushing it off, just adjusting after the week alone. He pulled me close, his lips finding mine, and for a moment I melted into him, guilt and desire warring within me. But the next evening, fate twisted again. I was alone, James out for a late meeting when my phone buzzed. "Liam. Missed you," the text read. Simple yet loaded. My pulse raced. Against my better judgment, I replied, "Me too." Minutes later, he was at my door, rain-soaked and magnetic, his eyes burning with intent. "Tell me to leave," he said, stepping inside, his voice a low growl. I didn't. Instead, I closed the distance, my fingers curling into his damp shirt as our mouths crashed together, urgent and unapologetic. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within me. His hands slid under my blouse, tracing my skin with a possessive edge, each touch stoking a fire I couldn't douse. We stumbled to the couch, my legs wrapping around him, the fabric of our clothes a fleeting barrier to the heat building between us. His breath was hot against my neck, whispering my name like a plea, and I arched into him, lost in the thrill of surrender. It was quick, intense, a collision of need that left us panting, tangled in the dim glow of the room. He left as swiftly as he'd come, the rain masking his exit. I stood there, trembling, the house silent again but alive with echoes of him. The next morning, I woke to James's sleepy smile, guilt gnawing at me. Yet I felt more awake than ever. I threw myself into distractions, painting bold, sensual strokes on canvas, running until my lungs burned, savoring the ache of my own body. One night, alone, I slipped into a bar, the dim lights and smoky air a perfect shroud. A stranger's gaze lingered, and I let it, flirting with the edge of temptation, my skin buzzing with the power of my own allure. When James came home that night, I greeted him with a kiss that held everything: love, secrets, hunger, pouring myself into him until we were a breathless tangle on the floor, the line between fidelity and fantasy blurring in the heat of his touch. This week had cracked me open, revealing a woman who craved both the safety of love and the danger of desire. Solitude had become my accomplice, a space to unravel and reclaim myself. Have you ever danced with temptation or found freedom in a fleeting moment? Tell me below. I'm listening. The days after Liam's stormy visit settled into a fragile calm, but the air in the house felt charged, as if it held my secrets in its walls. James sensed something. He'd catch my gaze drifting, his hands lingering longer when we touched, like he was searching for the piece of me I'd locked away. One evening, as rain tapped the windows again, he pulled me into a slow dance in the kitchen, his fingers firm on my waist. "What's on your mind, Sarah?" he murmured, his lips brushing my ear. I shivered, heat pooling low in me, torn between confessing and drowning in his touch. Instead, I pressed myself closer, our bodies swaying, my hands sliding up his chest as the tension coiled tighter. His kiss deepened, hungry, and we stumbled to the bedroom, shedding clothes in a frantic blur. The rain masked my gasps as he claimed me, every thrust erasing and rewriting the lines I'd crossed. But Liam wouldn't fade. Late one night, James asleep beside me, my phone glowed with his name. "Meet me," he texted, and my heart thudded, reckless and alive. I slipped out, the cool air biting my skin as I found him at a shadowed park bench, his silhouette a magnet. "You're trouble," I whispered, but my body betrayed me, stepping into his orbit. He smirked, pulling me against him, his hands roaming with a boldness that made me weak. "You like it," he teased, his lips grazing my collarbone, igniting a shiver that raced down my spine. We didn't have long. His fingers dipped beneath my waistband, teasing, promising, until I was clutching him, breathless, the thrill of the forbidden stealing my voice. It was fast, urgent, a stolen pulse of pleasure under the stars before I fled back to the house, my skin still humming. Morning brought clarity and chaos. James left for work, oblivious, and I stood in the shower, water scalding, trying to wash away the ache of wanting both. The stability of him, the wildfire of Liam. I spent the day restless, sketching their faces in my mind, then hit a jazz club alone that night, the sultry notes matching my mood. A stranger's hand brushed mine at the bar, his eyes an invitation I almost took, but I pulled back, savoring the power of choice. When James returned, I greeted him with a kiss that burned, pinning him against the wall, my hands greedy, needing to feel whole again. He matched my fire, unaware of the war inside me, and we collapsed, spent in a tangle of sheets. This dance of desire and devotion was reshaping me. Solitude now a mirror, reflecting a woman unafraid to crave. Have you ever wrestled with two loves or found yourself in the dark? Share below. I'm all ears. Weeks passed, and the storm within me began to quiet, though its echoes lingered like a pulse beneath my skin. James and I fell back into our rhythm. Lazy mornings, shared laughter. But his touch now carried a weight, as if he sensed the shadow I'd danced with. One night, over candlelit dinner, he looked at me, eyes soft yet piercing. "You're mine, Sarah, right?" he asked, his hand finding mine. My breath caught, guilt and love twisting together, and I nodded, leaning into his kiss. It was slow, deliberate, his fingers threading through my hair as he pulled me to the bedroom. The air thickened with need. My nails raked his back. His grip tightened on my hips, and we moved together. A reclaiming that left me trembling, anchored in his heat. Yet, Liam's ghost flickered in the corners of my mind, a temptation I couldn't fully bury. I never saw him again. A text came one day. "Transferred. Take care." And that was it. A door slamming shut. Relief battled with a strange ache, but I let it fade, choosing the life I'd built. Alone one afternoon, I stood by the window, rain streaking the glass, and felt the pull of that wild week. My fingers traced my own skin, lingering where Liam once had, a private farewell to that fire. The memory stirred me. My breath quickened, a flush spreading as I closed my eyes, indulging in the echo of his touch one last time. It was mine to keep, a secret carved into my bones. But I turned away, back to the present. Life steadied. I painted again, bold strokes of red and shadow, and took long walks, savoring the quiet I'd once feared. One evening, at a rooftop bar, the city sprawling below, I sipped wine, the breeze teasing my hair. A man's gaze lingered, dark, inviting, and I smiled, letting the thrill ripple through me without acting. James met me there, his arm slipping around my waist, and I leaned into him, whole yet changed. That week had been a crucible. Solitude a lover, desire a teacher, showing me I could burn and still stand. I'd tasted both chaos and calm, and emerged craving neither less. Now, I lived intentional, balancing connection with the pulse of my own heart. Have you ever found peace after a storm? Or learned to hold your own fire? Tell me below. I'd love to know.